Is Nik Needham making the transition to safety? That is the main topic of today's show. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today. And honestly, shout out Nik Needham. For someone who spells Nick, not N-I-C-K, I can respect another person doing the same. But the reason why we're having this conversation is, well, the Dolphins safety depth chart is a little bare, which we'll get to in just a second. But the Miami Dolphins Twitter account posted this photo yesterday with the caption, "Squad Up." And when you look at the photo, you see Jordan Poyer, Jevon Holland, Elijah Campbell, and then Nik Needham there as well. And we've made a lot of speculation about if Chris Grier and this Dolphins front office is going to add another safety to this depth chart. But what if Needham is their plan at that third or fourth safety position? We'll talk more in depth about it in a second. But make sure you are following me over on Twitter, because you would have saw my raw reaction to that prior to today's video yesterday afternoon if you did follow me on Twitter. At Nic_Rohloff is the handle. Daily Dolphins coverage, memes. We're at 933 followers, and when we get to 1,000, we're going to have something special planned. So hit that follow button and get us over a K. I do find it interesting that Nik Needham is practicing with those three safeties. It's not honestly that surprising, though, because the current Miami Dolphins depth chart at the safety position is not too strong. You love the top two of Jevon Holland and Jordan Poyer. So when I say not that strong, I'm really talking about the depth here, because you got Elijah Campbell replacing Deshon, Elliott, and Brandon Jones. But the other three guys who are on this depth chart, Colbert, Mark Perry, Patrick McMorris, they're all either UDFAs in Colbert or Perry, or McMorris, who was drafted in the 6th round out of Cal in this prior NFL draft. So I'm not that comfortable with this depth at safety that Miami is currently employing. So could it be Nik Needham transitioning to that third or fourth safety position while also maintaining some flexibility and versatility alongside the cornerback room, as he played a little bit in the slot, which we'll get to his alignment as well in just a second. We've talked about adding Justin Simmons and potentially another safety, but I think Needham might be a guy that Chris Grier views as that third or fourth guy in this room. And Needham did not play a ton in 2023. He only played in 10 games, and he didn't really see the field that often, even when he was on the field. 6 receptions allowed just on 8 targets. He mostly played in the slot as that nickel corner in replace of Kader Kohou at times, or in rotation, but you see the numbers. There's really not that much to talk about because, well, he wasn't on the field. But we will talk about Needham's potential transition to safety here as we progress throughout this video. But I want you guys to make the call for me. Do you want Nik Needham to move to safety? If you do, type your Y for yes. If you don't, type your N for no. Is it today's pinned comment? Important question, main topic of today's video. So I want to hear your answer. So if a YouTube ad break comes and hits you, well, answer the question. I'll tell you what, Needham has proven to be versatile in his career. UDFA in 2019 after playing his college ball at UTEP as a minor, and he hasn't played a ton every single year, but when he is on the field, you never know where he is actually going to be lining up. In his career, he has played the boundary corner position, either left or right side, 839 times. He's made most of his work in the slot as a nickel corner, though, with 1,186 snaps. But you do see the free safety position. He has played 110 snaps there before, and he actually had to fill in for Jevon Holland in a game during the 2021 NFL season. So this is something that Needham has done in the past and has played this position before. He's also lined up in the box 175 times as well. Just showing that he can really do anything and is just trying to work himself onto the field. But I will say this. If Nik Needham moves to safety to be the third guy behind Holland and Poyer or the fourth guy behind Campbell, cornerback depth actually then becomes a position of need. So it's twofold. It's a double-edged sword, if you will. Yes, Needham solves your one issue of needing safety depth, but then it creates another issue at the cornerback room. Your top three are kind of set. You got Ramsey and Fuller on the outside with Kohou being that nickel guy. I have Needham still slot as the fourth or fifth corner with former second round pick Cam Smith from last year being that guy as well. But I'm a little bit skeptical of this group. It is really a concern for Miami when you think about their depth. You have the second rounder, Cam Smith, from a year ago. You have Neal coming over from Buffalo. Ethan Bonner was working in. UDFA Storm Duck. Isaiah Johnson as well, a UDFA. So this 5-man group right here doesn't strike the most confidence in me if you go down with an injury. And say Kohou, say Jalen Ramsey, or Fuller, just one of those guys gets banged up and has to miss some time, well, you're not really left with a lot to work with unless you fully believe Cam Smith, who basically played no time at all last year for Vic Fangio, is ready to step up and be a big-time player. I truly believe that it might benefit Miami to get another corner if their plan is to move Needham to safety. We've talked a lot about adding an offensive guard and a safety with the last 2 available spots on this Dolphins 90-man roster as we head into training camp. But maybe it's just adding a defensive back rather than specifically a safety and then an offensive guard. Because you still technically would have Nik Needham if a player went down to move back to corner if absolutely necessary. But maybe just getting another CB in this room that's more experienced and is a better veteran could really benefit this roster. We'll have 5 names to talk about in just a second. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and we'll talk all Miami Dolphins rumors and news, and also bring you something if they do make a roster move. We cut into the deficit that we were facing earlier on the week between us and Patriots today. Let's continue to get there and overtake the shitty New England Patriots coming up in just a second. All right, the top 5 free agent corners available for the Dolphins to potentially sign are as follows. Former Patriot, actually, J.C. Jackson is among the list. We'll see if he gets another gig in the National Football League. Adoree Jackson's an interesting name if you want him to be your 4th guy. I'd imagine he wants a starting role somewhere in the NFL. Same with Stephon Gilmore. Gilmore, to me, is someone who's going to sign late in this offseason, maybe around training camp beginning. He probably doesn't want to partake in any of these OTAs or camps over the course of June and July. He probably just wants to get ready for the actual preseason and stuff like that. But if Miami were to suffer an injury to Fuller or Ramsey and Gilmore's still available, I'd expect that to happen. But these 2 are interesting. Nelson and Peterson. 2 veterans that could come in and be that 3rd boundary guy, but also work in the nickel as well alongside Kader Kohou. And when I'm looking at these 2 guys, both of them are veterans on the plus size of 30, but Nelson is coming off a very strong season for the Houston Texans. He played in all 17 games and put up really good coverage stats for the Texans. 71.9 PFF grade, but a 73 coverage grade. Only allowed completions at 59.4% of the time and had 4 interceptions to go along with 6 pass breakups. He did a lot of nice things for D'Amico Ryans in Houston a year ago, and if the phones aren't calling for Nelson, I would absolutely give him a ring and say, hey, listen, we can't promise you a starting spot, but we can have you work in here as a depth piece, be the 3rd outside corner, as well as work in with Kader Kohou. And if Nelson were to be down with that and the price is there, I'd be all in on signing Steven Nelson. Maybe you guys have a different corner in mind, but maybe you just want to sign a cornerback in general after hearing Needham transitioning to safety as a potential outcome. Should Miami sign a corner? Type S for sign, type P for pass. Also, make sure you are getting the 1st-round pick for the Miami Dolphins jersey, Chop Robinson. Fanatic still hasn't updated the jersey number, but he is wearing 44. Shout out to Chop. And you could get those jerseys right now at chatsports.com/chopjersey. The link will be in the description and comments of today's video. When the football season rolls around, you don't want to be one of those frauds not representing the Rook picked 21st overall. So get Chop's jersey right now. One more time, chatsports.com/chopjersey. All right, to round out today's video, I want to talk about another rookie, the 4th-round running back Jaylen Wright out of Tennessee, who the Miami Dolphins traded up to go get, and they actually sniped the Dallas Cowboys. Jeremy Fowler brought in some nuggets and notes after the NFL draft and had to say this on the Tennessee running back and how the Dolphins ended up getting him. The Cowboys also really liked the Tennessee RB, Jaylen Wright, who went 120th to the Miami Dolphins. If the Cowboys had a fourth rounder and Wright were still available, chances are they would have jumped on him. So the key there is if they had a fourth round pick, the Cowboys were not picking in that fourth round, but there are rumors that they almost traded up into that round to grab Jaylen Wright. So for all the people out there wondering why Miami ended up trading a future third round pick to get a fourth round pick to draft a running back, well, the reason is because he was going to get picked up very soon. And that doesn't surprise me. He's one of the most dynamic running backs in the entire college football scene last year, and he ran a 4.38 at the NFL Combine. He's got blazing speed, and he is just a big play waiting to happen. The best part about Jaylen Wright's game, though, and the part that makes me so excited for his impact with this Dolphins running back room and roster is his ability in the passing game. The 141 receiving yards isn't the craziest thing, but Tennessee also doesn't throw a lot to their running backs. The reason why I'm excited for the impact he's going to have to this roster is his pass protection. He's one of the best pass blocking running backs in this NFL draft, and he will find himself on the field next to Tua Tagovailoa on third downs quite a bit. You can use him in the passing game. You can also trust him to pick up a blitzing linebacker or give a nice little chip on the outside to a edge rusher. I believe he is going to find himself on the field for Mike McDaniel quite a bit because of his speed, his vision, his ability to hit the running lane and just shoot out of a cannon, but also protect Tua in the passing game. I'm very excited for Jaylen Wright. Man, if you can't tell, I'm pumped up to see him. All right, that will do it for today's video. Make sure you are following me on Twitter, like I mentioned off the top, at Nic_Rohloff. We'll be breaking down everything for the Fins throughout the offseason, leading up to the regular season getting underway in September. So give me a follow, and I'll see you on the next video. Go Fins.